Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing the biggest lie your ex ever told you. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Check out my socials for extra content. The links are in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing the biggest lie your ex ever told you. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you might be shocked to find out that they've likely lied to you during the breakup. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 likely lies that your ex-dumper said to you. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1, statement number 1, lie number 1, is that it's not you, it's me. Now this is something that lots of dumpees would have sadly heard from their ex-dumper during the breakup itself, maybe shortly afterwards, maybe during an interaction post-breakup, whatever it may be. Generally speaking, this is the type of thing that a dumper will say to a dumpee when they want to try and let them down gently. Now you might think, well, maybe they were telling the truth on this. And of course, I can't say for certain whether your ex-dumper is being authentic or not, but I would say, more often than not, this is a lie, but it is meant in the best of ways. It's meant to try and soften the blow. They're trying to say there's nothing wrong with you. Instead, it's me. Now please, listen very carefully, dumpees. I'm not saying that there is something wrong with you. I'm not saying you're not valuable. I'm not saying you're not a great person. I'm not saying you don't deserve love. You do. You are great. You are valuable. You are unique. You do deserve love. However, when we consider this in a likely, general, understandable sense, when we really think about what is being said here, this can't actually be true. If somebody ends a relationship and they say, it's not you, it's me, that can't be right. Because if you were right for them, in their mind, they wouldn't end the relationship. Well, you might think, well, there are difficult circumstances, and yes, of course, there could be these intricacies that I can't predict from this generalized podcast that I'm uploading right now, but let's think of this in a logical sense. If somebody views another person as a perfect partner, they will likely find a way around and over obstacles. So if you feel that your relationship didn't work out due to a situation which is beyond anybody's control, although I can't say for certain that's not the case, what I can say is that if both people feel a high level of romantic emotional attraction, they will likely try and find a way through, over, and beyond these problems. So unfortunately, if your ex-dumper said to you, it's not you, it's me, this, in my opinion, is a lie. Yes, it's probably a lie because they want to soften the blow. They don't want to hurt you more than they already recognize you are likely to be being hurt, because most dumpers don't want to hurt their dumpees. Contrary to popular belief, most dumpers do not want to hurt you, certainly at the time of a breakup. They want to soften that blow, and that's why saying, it's not you, it's me, trying to put that responsibility of the failure of a relationship onto themselves. They're trying to take the pressure off and make out that they are the person who is not right. They are the person who has the problems. They are the person who can't cope or deal with or succeed in such a great relationship. They're trying to take that off you because they're trying to protect you most of the time, if that is why somebody has said it. But the truth of the matter is that if they really felt that it's not you, meaning that you are perfect for them in their mind, then they would try and find a way around whatever excuse they are giving, and they would likely move forward with a relationship. They wouldn't be ending it. If 2 people are together and one person thinks, you are amazing, you're perfect, I want to be with you, we work together really well, I can imagine my future with you, they are not likely to end the relationship. So, if you have unfortunately been dumped, this is because your ex-dumper has lost romantic emotional attraction for you. It can be for various potential reasons. It could be over a significant period of time, slowly but surely, or It could be due to something fairly sudden, an action. Perhaps, for instance, you cheated on your partner, they found out, they lost romantic emotional attraction almost instantly, and then they ended a relationship. This is a situation which could be one way or the other. It could be over time, it could be sudden, it could be somewhere in between. But what we do know is they've lost romantic emotional attraction, because if somebody feels a high level of romantic emotional attraction for their partner, they don't end a relationship. So we know by the fact they're ending the relationship that sadly they've lost that level of attraction. It's hit the necessary low point. They have actioned the breakup. If they didn't feel a low level of attraction, they wouldn't have ended the relationship. So considering it in that regard, they are no longer feeling enough attraction towards you. So when they're saying it's not you, well, sadly it is you. It is you in the respect that they don't see, currently at least, a future with you beyond this point. Now again, please be careful with my words, what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not a good person. I'm not saying you're not valuable. I'm not saying you're not unique. You are. You're all of these things and more. But your ex-dumper lost romantic emotional attraction towards you. They didn't feel that a future beyond this point with you two together was something which would give them fulfillment and satisfaction. If they felt that way, they wouldn't have ended the relationship. So when they come to that decision, when the action would break up, if they say to you, it's not you, it's me, unfortunately, it's a lie. Because in their mind, it is you. Because if you and them were working together in a compatible sense, they wouldn't end the relationship. They're not trying to be cruel. In fact, this is likely why they're actually saying this. They're trying to soften the blow. And, as I keep saying, it doesn't diminish your value as a person. You can potentially get your ex back in the future. If not, you can find someone even better than them. So this isn't about you losing your value to a point where you don't feel that you can have anybody. Yes, you can. And it might even be your ex in the future. But right now, they're not feeling it. And they're trying to soften the blow. But I'm afraid it's a lie when they say it's not you, it's me. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is I never want to speak with you again. Now this is a statement which can be very, very painful to hear. And listen, please be clear on this. If somebody's saying they don't want to speak with you, you shouldn't be thinking to yourself, well, I've been told that was a lie, so I'm just going to ignore what you're saying here and I'm just going to bombard you and chase you and all of those things. No, okay, let's make sure that we draw a line right now in the sand so you understand. If your ex-dumper is saying, I don't want to speak with you, I never want to speak with you again, anything like that, you should not be chasing them. Even though you know from today's podcast, but I'm about to tell you why I believe this is a lie. However, please be very, very clear if you hear these words, if you read these words, if you get any indication that they say, claim, want, desire not to speak with you, please don't try and force the issue. They need to make that decision. Just as you do, just as anybody does. We don't have to speak with anybody. We don't want to. However, with all that being said, if your ex-dumper does say to you, I never want to speak with you again, that is a lie. And the reason this is a lie is because they can't predict their own future. Now, I'm not saying they're deliberately lying. They are speaking in the moment. Just as we all do. We all speak in the moment. We all feel in the moment. What they are saying right now is probably true. I'm not denying that what they're saying in that very moment is true. It likely is the truth. If they say this, if they text this, this is likely how they're feeling right now. And therefore, that is why I said a moment ago, don't try and ignore this and force the issue to have a conversation. If they say they don't want to speak with you, then you need to respect that. But the reason why this is a lie is because they are predicting the future. I never want to speak with you again. That's suggesting that they never want to speak with you in the future. And it's a lie because they don't know. We speak in the moment, we feel in the moment, we live in the moment. I like to give an example of when maybe you and your ex got together. Even if this doesn't quite match your story, you will understand where I'm coming from. Two people get together. And at the time they get together, they're feeling a high level of romantic emotional attraction for one another. At this point, they could probably never imagine that they wouldn't speak with one another. They're feeling a high level of attraction. What happens beyond? Well, maybe they get married. Maybe you and your ex got married. If not, I'm sure you can understand where I'm going with this. The two people, during their wedding, say their vows. At that moment, they couldn't ever imagine being split up. They're very, very much in love. Now, if this isn't the case, then why would they be saying it? Well, they're saying it because it's true in the moment. That's the point. When you met, you felt attraction in the moment. If you got married, you felt love in the moment. That was real. That was true. But we can't promise the future because sadly, if you've now split up, that love, at least from one side, is no longer there. So if we consider that before you met each other, you didn't love one another, then you did, you met each other, your attraction grew, you got to know each other, you fell in love, you potentially got married, maybe you had children, all of these wonderful things. The love is going up and up and up, the romantic emotional attraction is going up and up and up, and therefore we can never imagine a time where you're apart. If anybody had said to you or your now ex during your wedding, hey look, just to let you know you're going to split up down the line, I'm sure both of you would be really, really upset by hearing this and say, no, I'm really in love with my partner. You wouldn't imagine it. And yet, months or years down the line, sadly, this is how you find yourself. And this is the whole point of point number 2. If your ex-badumper says to you, they text you, they tell you, I never want to speak with you again. This is spoken in the moment, just as when they spoke in the moment and said they loved you, just when they spoke in the moment and said their vows at your wedding. It was all true, it was all real, but it was in the moment. It doesn't predict the future. And that's why it's a lie. So if your ex-badumper has told you, I never want to speak with you again, they can't predict how they will be feeling 6 months down the line, a year down the line. They don't know, but they're just saying it. They're getting it off their chest. They're living in the moment. And that's fine. That's understandable. You must respect it. But please don't be fearful that this is some type of magic forever set of words which definitively predict the future. Now, maybe they do. Maybe, sadly, your ex-badumper never changes their mind on this. That is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I'm also not saying is that it's impossible, because I've seen so many people get back together when they've had very messy, difficult breakups, when horrible things have been said, and yet, months down the line, maybe a year or so down the line, in some cases, people get back together, and those horrible words no longer mean anything to them. Just as before the breakup, all of the wonderful things and words that were said meant things right then, the horrible things sadly meant something at the time, but beyond that, the future has not yet been written. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the build-up of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about the biggest lie your ex ever told you. And point number 3 is I never loved you. Now, any dumpee who has heard these types of words, whether it was face-to-face, on the phone, typed in a text, it can be devastating. To believe that your ex-badumper never loved you can be something which makes you feel that not only your whole relationship was a lie, but you start to feel that your whole life has been a lie. It's not been real. Anything that you felt you had was actually built upon sand rather than strong foundations. Now, sadly, you have broken up. Right now, you're single. Right now, you're not together. Right now, the foundations of your relationship don't look like they were very strong. And okay, there is some level of truth to that. Sadly, right now you're broken up, but in the future, you might one day get your ex back and build that relationship back up on those stronger foundations. But you're thinking, well, how can that be if they've just told me that they never loved me? If they never loved me, then I can't get them back. But I'm not trying to give you false hope. I'm not promising you that you can get your ex back, because sadly, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. But what I can say is that if you were in a relationship of any type of length, then your ex-dumper did love you. And even if they have told you, I never loved you, in my opinion, this is a lie. This is a lie meant to hurt you. Now, previously in today's podcast, we've been saying that your ex-dumper is not trying to hurt you. They're trying to protect you. And this is why those lies may have been told. But this one, sadly, is vindictive. It has some power attached, you could say. I never loved you. You know, it's meant to cause some level of hurt, and it's not kind and it's not nice. But maybe your ex-dumper feels that they have a right to say it. Perhaps, as the example I gave earlier, you cheated on your now dumper. They felt so hurt that they wanted to fire something back at you and said something which now you feel very shocking, and it could be deemed as cruel. But if you treated them terribly, can you really blame them in the moment, trying to just say something to give you a little bit of that pain back that they are maybe feeling that you have given them? Now, I can't predict exactly what's gone on between you unless we have spoken via my audio coaching service. I don't know. But what I can say is that I've spoke to lots of people on both the dumper side and the dumpee side who have had those words either heard or the ones that they actually said to someone about I never loved you. And it always transpires to be the same. Again, it's in the moment. It's in the moment it's being said. The person saying it is likely feeling very hurt themselves, and they're trying to fire something back at their dumpee, which isn't nice, it isn't kind, it is somewhat cruel, but it is in the moment, and it's not true, because if your relationship was of any real length, you would have fallen in love. If you and your former partner were together for more than a few months, the likelihood is you would have fallen in love. Certainly if you were together years. You have to think of the logistics of this. You and them would likely have fallen in love. I'm sure you told one another. So if your ex-dumper is now saying, I never loved you, well, in my opinion, they're just saying this as a cheap shot to try and hurt you. But if you were together for any real length of time, the level of romantic emotional attraction would have to have been high for you two to have got beyond those first couple of months of even being together into the many months and potentially the many years together. So your ex-dumper likely did love you. I'm sure they did if you were together for a long time. I'm sure they did if they told you that they loved you back in the day. Just because they've now said to you, I never loved you, why do you believe that ahead of the times when you were happy together and they were saying that they did love you? You know, when you think of it like that, why are you choosing to believe the horrible comment but not choosing to believe the times where they told you during happier days? Sadly, it's a cheap shot. Sadly, it's likely to try and cause you pain and shock. But the good news is they don't likely mean it. It is likely a lie, and there's still no official reason where you can't one day get back together. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it will definitely happen. But just because your ex has said to you, I never really loved you, I never loved you at all, anything like that, it doesn't mean in the future they can't change their mind. They can't admit the truth, but it wasn't even the reality in what they were saying. And it doesn't mean that you can't get your ex back, because I believe most people can if they proceed in the right way. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.